I've been silent for a long time, maybe too long. And if you've clicked on this video, it's probably because you think you already know my story. You've seen the memes, the interviews, the headlines, maybe even the rumors, but what if I told you most of it was wrong? What if I told you that behind every frame, every click, and every search result, there was a human being scared, confused, and desperate to find a place in a world that felt like it didn't want her? Before you judge me, before you scroll away, just listen, because this isn't just a story about the adult film industry. It's a story about choices, survival, shame, resilience, and what it means to rebuild your life when the whole world thinks it owns you. Let's start at the beginning. I grew up in a world where appearances mattered more than feelings, where silence was safer than honesty, where being a good person often meant pretending to be someone I wasn't. My childhood wasn't tragic in the cinematic sense. No fires, no crime, no villains, but it was quietly painful, the kind of pain that creeps in when you're told you're never enough. I was the quiet kid who tried too hard. I smiled when I wanted to cry. I obeyed when I wanted to scream. At home, expectations were high. Grades, behavior, reputation, everything had to be spotless. But inside, I felt dirty. Not in the physical sense, but emotionally. Like I was always breaking invisible rules I couldn't see. When I hit my teenage years, that feeling grew louder. I wanted freedom. Not rebellion, just space to breathe. I wanted to be seen for who I was, not for who others thought I should be. But when you grow up in a conservative environment, wanting freedom feels like betrayal. So I learned to live in two worlds. The version of me that smiled at family dinners, and the version that stared at herself in the mirror, wondering who she really was. When I left home for the first time, it was like oxygen. I remember walking into my college dorm, closing the door behind me, and feeling something I hadn't felt in years, possibility. It wasn't about fame or attention, it was about control. For the first time, I could make my own decisions. No one telling me what to wear, no one monitoring my phone, no one judging my friends. But freedom is tricky, it doesn't come with instructions. And when you spent your whole life being told what's right and wrong, you dawn. Always know how to handle your own choices, you stumble, you test limits, you confuse attention with affection. And that's what I did. I started working small jobs, cafes, retail, anything that would help pay the bills. But I was restless. I wanted something more. I wanted to be seen. Social media became my escape, posting pictures, expressing myself. It felt like liberation. But the internet doesn't love you back. It only mirrors your insecurities and magnifies them. At first, I thought I was in control. Then I realized the more I shared, the more people demanded. And that demand, it's intoxicating. It makes you feel powerful until you realize you're giving pieces of yourself away. The moment that changed everything wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a dark alley or a mysterious phone call. It was an email, just a few sentences, asking if I was interested in a modeling opportunity. I laughed when I first read it. I thought it was spam, but something in me paused, curiosity. I was struggling financially, emotionally, and academically. I felt invisible, and here was someone saying I could be seen. It didn't promise fame or fortune, just attention. So I replied, and that reply, that one click, set off a chain of events that would change my life forever. When I showed up to the studio, it wasn't what I imagined. There were bright lights, cameras, people smiling, makeup artists, stylists. It looked professional, harmless even. Everyone seemed so casual, so normal. And I remember thinking, maybe this isn't as bad as people say. But the truth is, I didn't fully understand what I was walking into. I told myself it was just one time, just one shoot, and then I'd go back to being me, but that's not how it works. The internet doesn't forget. And once your image is out there, once you are out there, you can't take it back. I remember my first day vividly. The nerves, the lights, the smell of makeup, the forced smiles. Everyone told me to relax, to be myself. But how could I? I didn't even know who that was anymore. When it was over, I felt two things, relief and shame. Relief that it was done, shame that I had done it. But I buried that shame because the money came in, the views came in, messages poured in, and for the first time I felt powerful. I mistook validation for healing, and that's a dangerous illusion. Before long, the numbers exploded. Millions of views, millions of people who suddenly knew my face or thought they did. But fame isn't applause. It's noise, and that noise can drown you. People started recognizing me on the street. Some asked for selfies, others whispered, some laughed, and I started to disappear behind a persona I never meant to create. The world thought they knew me, the confident woman, the fantasy, the icon. But behind that image was someone who couldn't sleep at night, someone who cried every time her phone buzzed with another headline, Someone who started to believe that maybe the world was right, that this was all she would ever be, and yet part of me didn't want to stop, because once you've been seen by millions, disappearing feels like dying. If you've made it this far, thank you. This story isn't easy to tell, and it's not over yet. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button, not for me, but for the truth, because what's coming next might change how you see everything. Over time, the fame became unbearable. What started as curiosity turned into obsession. From fans, from the media, from people who didn't even know my name but felt entitled to my story, my face became a symbol, a punchline, a statistic, and I started to lose myself completely. People assume that the adult industry is glamorous. They imagine confidence, luxury, empowerment, but what they don't see are the contracts, the control, the silence. You can't say no when you've already said yes once. You can't reclaim your image when the world has already claimed it for you. I tried to walk away, but walking away doesn't erase what's online. Every job interview, every new relationship, every attempt to rebuild, it all circles back. That chapter I thought I'd closed kept reopening, again and again and again. There were days I couldn't leave my house. Nights I deleted every social app and still felt exposed. The world wasn't just watching, it was judging. And the cruelest part, most of them never saw me as a person, just a headline. The truth is, I don't blame anyone for being curious. I understand it, but curiosity can turn cruel without empathy, and the internet thrives on cruelty. It rewards shame. It monetizes pain. I remember once reading a comment that said, "She chose it, she deserves it." And maybe I did choose it, but I didn't choose what came after. No one deserves to be defined forever by their worst decisions. No one deserves to be reduced to a single Google search. That's the thing about the industry. It promises control, but takes it away piece by piece. The moment you think you re-empowered, you realize you're just a product, a commodity wrapped in pixels. And when the world is done consuming you, it moves on, leaving you behind with the fragments. Leaving the industry was the hardest thing I ever did. Not because I missed it, but because I didn't know who I was without it. I had to rebuild my identity from scratch. Every interview, every conversation, every public appearance, it was like peeling off a mask, one painful. Layer at a time, I started speaking out, not to justify, not to blame, but to heal, to reclaim the narrative that was stolen from me, to remind people that behind every click there's a story, and behind every story there's a soul. Healing didn't come overnight. It came in small, fragile moments, when a stranger said they understood, when someone said my words helped them. It came when I stopped running from my past and started accepting it, because the truth is, you can't erase your past, but you can outgrow it. I used to think the internet had destroyed me, but it didn't. It revealed me. It showed me who I was when everything else was stripped away. Now, when people recognize me, I don't hide. I meet their gaze because I'm not ashamed anymore. Every scar, every mistake, every choice, it's all part of the same story. My story, I've learned that forgiveness isn't about erasing what happened. It's about letting go of the power it holds over you. And I forgive myself for being naive, for seeking validation in the wrong places, for trying to fill emptiness with attention. Because at the end of the day, I was just trying to feel loved. And there's no shame in that today my life looks nothing like it did back then. I work, I laugh, I create, I surround myself with people who see me for who I am, not for what they've seen online. And most importantly, I use my voice because I lost it once and I refuse to lose it again. I want people to know that it's okay to change. It's okay to start over. It's okay to rewrite your story no matter how loud the world tells you otherwise. If my story teaches you anything, let it be this. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not what people search for or whisper about. You are what you choose to become after the storm. I don't tell this story for sympathy. I tell it because silence is what kept me trapped. And maybe somewhere out there, someone watching, this feels trapped too. Maybe you're hiding behind a version of yourself the world expects you to be. Maybe you think you've gone too far to come back, but I promise you haven't. There is always a way back to yourself. It's not easy, it's not fast, but it's real. And if I can stand here owning my past, speaking my truth, and finding peace, and so can you if you've watched all the way to the end. Thank you. Thank you for listening without judgment. Thank you for giving me the one thing I wanted all along, to be heard. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button, because I'm not done talking. Not yet.